For 12 hours, Confederate and Union forces fought at Antietam in what was the bloodiest day of the Civil War. Some of the 2,770 Confederates who died at that day are shown in this picture here. 22.4 Antietam, a bloody affair. The Battle of Bull Run ended Northerners' hopes for a quick victory. In the months that followed that sobering defeat, the Union began to carry out the Anaconda Plan. Step 1 of the Anaconda Plan was to blockade the South's ports and cut off its trade. In 1861, the Union Navy launched the blockade. By the end of the year, most ports in the South were closed to foreign ships. The South had long exported its cotton to Great Britain and France. The Confederacy looked to Great Britain to send ships to break through the blockade. The British, however, refused this request. As a result, the South could not export cotton to Europe or import needed supplies. Early in 1862, the Union began to put Step 2 of the Anaconda Plan into action. The strategy was to divide the Confederacy by gaining control of the Mississippi River. In April, Union Admiral David Farragut led 46 ships up the Mississippi River to New Orleans. This was the largest American fleet ever assembled. In the face of such overwhelming force, the city surrendered without firing a shot. I'm going to pause right there and ask you to answer your first question. And here we are. Meanwhile, Union forces, headed by General Ulysses S. Grant, began moving south toward the Mississippi from Illinois. In 1862, Grant won a series of victories that put Kentucky and much of Tennessee under Union control. A general of remarkable determination, Grant refused to accept any battle outcome other than unconditional or total surrender. For this reason, U.S. Grant was known to his men as Unconditional Surrender Grant. Later in 1862, Union General George McClellan sent 100,000 men by ship to capture Richmond. Again, a Union victory seemed certain, but despite being outnumbered, Confederate forces stopped the Union attack in a series of well-fought battles. Once more, Richmond was saved. I'll pause there and ask you to answer question number 2. We're up here at the Battle of Antietam. At this point, General Robert E. Lee, the commander of the Confederate forces, did the unexpected. He sent his troops across the Potomac River into Maryland, a slave state that remained in the Union. Lee hoped this show of strength might persuade Maryland to join the Confederacy. He also hoped that a Confederate victory on Union soil would convince European nations to support the South. On a crisp September day in 1862, Confederate and Union armies met near the Maryland town of Sharpsburg along Antietam Creek. All day long, McClellan's troops pounded Lee's badly outnumbered forces. The following day, Lee retreated back to Virginia. McClellan claimed Antietam as a Union victory, but many who fought there saw the battle as a defeat for both of the armies. Of the 75,000 Union troops who fought at Antietam, about 2,100 were killed. About 10,300 were wounded or missing. Of the 52,000 Confederates who fought at Antietam, 2,770 lost their lives, while 11,000 were wounded or missing. In that single day of fighting, more Americans were killed than in the entire War of 1812 and the Mexican War combined. The Battle of Antietam was the bloodiest day of the war. At this time, we'll answer question number 3. The new realities of war. The horrifying death toll at Antietam reflected the new realities of warfare. In past wars, battles had been fought in hand-to-hand combat using bayonets. During the Civil War, improved weapons made killing from a distance much easier. Rifles, which replaced muskets, were accurate over longer distances. Improved cannons and artillery also made it easier for armies to attack forces some distance away. As a result, armies could meet, fight, die, and part without either side winning a clear victory. Medical care was not as advanced as weaponry. Civil War doctors had no understanding of the causes of infections. Surgeons operated in dirty hospital tents with basic instruments. Few bothered to wash their hands between patients. As a result, infections spread rapidly from patient to patient. The hospital death rate was so high that soldiers often refused medical care. An injured soldier from Ohio wrote that he chose to return to battle rather than see a doctor. Here's the quote: thinking that I had better die by rebel bullets than Union quackery, which is unskilled medical care. As staggering as the battle death tolls were, far more soldiers died of diseases than wounds. Unsanitary conditions in army camps were so bad that about 3 men died of typhoid, pneumonia, and other diseases for every one who died in battle. As one soldier observed, these big battles are not as bad as the fever.